what's the first blush list of candidates? I mean, we already know who's already out there interviewing for jobs, Tom. But what about this one?
Well, what I would tell you, Rich, is the people involved in making those decisions have been in closed door meetings all morning. Mm-hmm. Every GM in the league has a list that they, keep just in the event that something ends up changing here. I would say, in talking to people this morning around the NFL, other coaches and front office people and coaching agents who are watching the situation, there is a sense that the Bills may go on the offensive side of the ball with this hire, even though that offense has been really good, whether it was under Brian Daboll or it was under Ken Dorsey or Joe Brady at various points. But having somebody who's kind of on the same page, with Josh Allen and can grow that side together, that may be something alluring because he's never, truly had that. I think that Joe Brady is a candidate. I don't know that he is the candidate for the job, though he certainly has a close relationship with Josh. I would watch Davis Webb as a potential candidate for that position, a backup quarterback for several seasons in Buffalo who's really close with Josh Allen. There's multiple teams that are waiting for Davis Webb to be available to interview again in a week. That's how close he is, even though he's not even the offensive coordinator in Denver. He's a quarterbacks coach. He's going to have multiple opportunities for second interviews, depending if those jobs get filled before he's eligible to, continue the interview process. So I think that name potentially could come up. If you're looking at some of the other, popular names that are out on the circuit right now, I think Mike McDaniel is interviewed for practically every head coaching job and offensive coordinator job in the league. But given he was in Miami, they struggled to get past Buffalo. That one's probably a pretty hard sell. I do know this, Rich. Everybody is going to be lining up for this job. Anyone who is a coaching candidate who has an opportunity to go and interview in Buffalo is going to race. They will fly themselves in. They will pay for their own per diem. There's no question whatsoever. This is now the job. And the fact that several times we've had to redo that, because Pittsburgh is also a great job. Baltimore is potentially, if you believe in Lamar Jackson, that you can get him healthy and get him playing like Lamar again. Those are three rare jobs, two places with former MVPs, plus a place in Pittsburgh that has so much consistency. That also speaks, Rich, I think, to, if we talk about where could Shawn McDermott potentially land next, it doesn't make a ton of sense for him to go into a total rebuild. He's 51 years old. He's been there every year, been in the playoffs, every season here in recent years. I don't really see him I'm going to go to Arizona or I'm going to go to Las Vegas. I think the teams to watch for Shawn McDermott, potentially the Steelers, though that would be outside of their normal bucket in terms of who they look to hire. Baltimore is certainly one that I could see making a lot of sense for Shawn McDermott. And the other one would be Tennessee. We know the Titans have pursued John Harbaugh. They wanted to speak to Kevin Stefanski again before he took Atlanta. They want to speak to Jeff Hafley again, although I believe Hafley's in the building with Miami right now, and I'm not sure he leaves without getting that job. Matt Nagy and Robert Saleh are in Tennessee today, but given the aggressiveness of Tennessee, they've got a quarterback, great place to live, new stadium opening. There are aspects of that job, Rich, that I would just say don't count them out as a potential option for Shawn McDermott.
There's one more, Tom. Let me hit this with you. Because, again, the Ravens, he was not going to go there. Ravens weren't going to hire him either. Even though they have an MVP quarterback and everyone would want to coach an MVP quarterback. But now there's another MVP quarterback that's open. Is there any shot, Mike Tomlin? It's just like, okay, hey, Mike, listen, let's kick a tire here and see what's up. You want to coach Josh Allen? And again, I understand the idea would be to potentially not go another CEO head coach, but it would be let's get a play caller. The next voice to be heard in Josh Allen's ear is going to be potentially your head coach and a familiar voice at that in your ear. What about kicking a tire on Mike Tomlin saying this is the one shot maybe we have to see if you're interested, and then we'll trade and we'll talk turkey with the Rooneys. What do you think, Tom?
Well, there's several things. You mentioned some of them there. Question one is, would the Rooneys even trade Mike Tomlin to Buffalo?
Just up the road.
You'd have to start there.
Yeah, just up the road. Right.
If they are unwilling, that is a drivable. I've done that drive during training camp. That is very close geographically, and it's one of your AFC rivals.
Right.
They'd have to be willing to do it. Even if they were, do the Bills want to go into the defensive-minded, 50-something-year-old coach bucket for a guy who, quite frankly, he hasn't had Josh Allen, but he has not had as much success, over the last 9 years as Sean McDermott has.
Right.
He did, obviously Mike won a Super Bowl. That was in his second season. He's been to another Super Bowl. But in recent years, he hasn't won a playoff game in 9 years. The 9 years that Sean McDermott won 8 playoff games and got fired for it is a 9-year stretch in which Mike Tomlin has not, won a single playoff game. The third part of it is whether Tomlin is willing to listen. Yes, you would think if there were a place that it can contend right away that has the quarterback, that's the type of job that would be interesting to Mike Tomlin. But I mentioned this on game day morning, I think yesterday, Rich, with you, a member of Giants ownership, shortly after Mike Tomlin stepped down as the head coach of the Steelers, reached out to Tomlin. And that person was not alone. But Giants ownership reached out to Mike Tomlin and said, hey, would you have any interest in doing this? The answer was, I do not plan to coach in 2026. At this point, I don't believe that Mike Tomlin is in a mental space where he wants to coach in 2026. If that changes this week, next week, a month from now, there's all kinds of different things that could happen. But right now, albeit with a little bit of a pumping of the brakes in certain places to evaluate the Shawn McDermott aspect of this, a lot of these coaching searches right now are full steam ahead. They're going to be moving relatively rapidly here over the next week or two.
All right. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.